Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am still Tudor Frank, and we are learning payroll management. I want to encourage all of you on this platform to enroll on the full package training as you're going to learn something very interesting. If you are an accountant, I want you to understand that the accounting of pen and paper is far gone. And now accounting is done using computer. And there are some softwares you need to know how to use, which are called accounting softwares. So join my class on accounting software packages, and you're going to learn a lot that could help you function better as an accountant. So we continue in this special training on payroll. We were able to create these employees daily overtime record, and we were able to prepare this one called the overtime amounts payments. As you can see here, this is the monthly record. This is the daily sheet that we use to maintain employee hours, as in employee overtime hours. And we were able to link this with this to get the values of overtime hours. So now we want to go into the main payroll, which I'm going to type the name of the organization as well again. To the Hotels Limited. Down here we have here employee payroll. I can just put an hyphen and say July 2023. I'd like to zoom this a little for now. So we're going to have the two basic columns here. Okay, the three. Pick the three columns. Three basic columns we should have here. We have the employee, ID, the name, and the basic salary. Having gotten these three, we can add more things like most places can have transportation allowance. We could have health allowance, accommodation allowance. Okay, then we should have overtime, bonus. Let me remove bonus. I don't want to put bonus. Bonus is in sales firm where they deal with sales. We can have bonus. But to just make the standard look nice, I think I should include, no, I don't need to include the column. But if you're working for organization that do carry out sales, or any organization that you know that bonuses are always given to employees, then you can bring in the bonus column. For this content, I will not want to bring in the column for bonus. So we have cross pay. Then we will have tax. We have other deduction. Then after other deduction, we should have total deduction. We just like to use T for total. Let me type it in full so you will understand. Total deduction. Then finally we have net pay. All right, so I can highlight the whole of this, do the same thing, create borders. I can have total here. Okay, so this will serve as our payroll. I have to highlight from here down. As usual, you make this already, you know how to prepare this one. Same thing here. Okay. So let's say the transportation allowance, we want to give 15% of the basic salary as transport allowance. So I have to include it here. We are giving out 14%, or let's say 10% as a health allowance, because we are not expecting our employee to be getting sick always. Then we are giving out 15% as accommodation allowance. Okay. The overtime value have to be taken from the other side. Then tax, in worst cases, tax shouldn't be less than 1%. I'm just suggesting, but I believe one of these days I will spend time to show you how you can calculate tax, like pay tax, pay as you earn. We'll learn how to calculate that using Microsoft Excel. We will learn that, so we can just calculate the tax on a separate sheet like we have done on overtime, then copy, as in just reference that record. We will do that one of these days. For today, we just focus on overtime and the general payroll. So let's keep going. I come over here and I start the calculation. 15% of our basic salary will be equals to the basic salary, which is in C4, multiplied by 15%. Note that it's not multiplied by 15, but it multiplied by 15%. Without the percentage, you're going to have a different answer. So C4, which is the address of this basic salary, if your basic salary is not in C4, maybe you prepare your own differently and you have your basic salary in a different location, please, the address of that location is what you use, not C4. C4 is not constant. But in this case, the address of the first basic salary is C4. That is why I am using C4. So you just press your enter and we got this. I'll drag this down to the end. So we got the transportation allowance for each of these 7 employees. Same calculation here for health allowance, so equals to the basic salary in C4 multiplied by 10%. Enter. I drag it down and we have it correctly. Okay. The next thing is the 15% of basic salary will be appearing here as what? Accommodation allowance. So say equals to basic salary multiplied by 15%. Then I drag down the answer to have the rest. I think it should be the same value as what we have here, because it's 15%, 15%. Overtime now, we don't need to calculate. We come here, check out where we have the overtime amounts. These overtime amounts we are seeing here. The first one is at column F, row number 4, F4, in sheet 2. So what we need to type here is, you have to zoom this so you can see clearly, see what I'm typing. This is very important. I hope the watermark is not covering you here. Equals to sheet 2, explanatory mark, as you can see here. Then the cell address was what? F4. F4. Then I press enter. That gives me 27083. Let's confirm. 27083. That's correct. So what I need to do at this point is I come over to sheet 3. Since the answer is correct, I drag it down to the rest, and we got them all correct. Then the cross pair, I can say cross pay is equals to everything on this row. So I can use auto sum by clicking on auto sum. That will give me the formula C4 column G4, which means C4 plus D4 plus E4 plus F4 plus G4. That is what this formula means. Equal to sum. That is sum everything inside the following cell from C4 down to G4. So everything in this range, sum them together, and by pressing enter key, I have the answer as you are seeing here. I can run off, decrease the decimal to the nearest odd number, then I drag this down. That gives me the answers for all the cross pay. The next thing I will do is to get the tax. Tax is 1% of not the basic pay, but 1% of the cross pay. You know, tax is taken from the cross pay, not from the basic pay. I hope you get that right. Tax is subtracted. Any deductible value must be subtracted from the gross pay, not the basic salary. So I'll come over here and say equals to the gross pay multiplied by 1%. Then gross pay is in cell H4. That is why I'm using H4. I press enter and I have these answers. I can run this off to the nearest odd number, then drag it down. I have the answers. Very simple. Then, before we end up, we move to the next thing called other deduction. Other deduction can be nothing. Sometimes, maybe you don't go to work early or you take a loan. All those deduction can come in here. Okay. All right. Next thing we have is total deduction, which will be equals to the tax plus other deduction. So this is equals to, since this is just two cells, this cell plus this cell. Enter. Then I can drag it down. So the last thing we want to look at now is the net pay. Net pay will be equals to the gross pay minus total deduction. So we come over here, say equals to gross pay minus total deduction. Gross pay is in H4, total deduction is in K4. So I press enter and I got these answers. So what the employees goes on with is what we have here. The last thing we want to do is to get the totals. Sometimes you might have to get the max, might have to get the mean, might have to get the average. So all this could be lined up here. And we could have a cell for it. I have to mesh this once. Okay. So we just need to get the first ones and then we drag it down to calculate the rest. We just say equals to, I don't need to calculate this, I just need to click on auto sum. That will sum it for me. From C4 to C10. C4 is the first basic salary. C10 is the last basic salary in this range. So I click OK. As I just press enter, answer is done. I can drag this to the end. And we got total for everything. Some values that are longer, I can as well run it off or leave it the way it is. It's not a problem. For the max, I will say equals to max, open bracket, the first, which is C4, separated by column, the last, which is C10. That will give me the maximum values for all of them. Is it correct? Yes, it's correct, because the maximum value here, the maximum basic salary in this range is for John Bain, which is 275000, and that's what we got here. So the minimum is just the opposite of the maximum, where we say equals to mean, open bracket, with the first and the last. The average, same method, equals to average, open bracket, C4 colon C10. All right, click here, drag to the end. Same thing here to the end. So at this point, we can say the average basic salary, because someone in this firm is this amount. You can do all the, I want to reduce decimal for all of them. I don't need the decimal places. As you can see now, there is no decimal places for all of them. So you can say the average net salary, the average net pay for an employee in Tudor Hotels Limited is 348870. That is the average net pay for an employee in this company. So now I believe you've done, you've seen how the calculation is done, and I believe you are enjoying the class. You can do some coloring if you feel like, as coloring comes in to highlight some cells and make it look different from others. For example, I can highlight where I have the totals for each of the employees. I paint it with a color, maybe something of this nature. Note I can design these fronts. I can design this uppercase, these upper columns, give it a color of this nature, change the text color to maybe white to make it look different, as you can see. I can as well get some rows like the gross pay. You can see this gross pay column. I want it to look different from other column by shading it with a different color of this nature or this anything. Same could be done to net pay or any other one, as the case might be. I can decide to bold these ones. Let me show it on one screen. You can see this is our payroll. So we are going to achieve this. As promised, we have already achieved this. So that is the class for today. I believe you've learned a lot. And I believe if you have any question, you're free to ask me. I will attend to all your questions. And I would advise you join the full package training to learn more, to understand better. Sorry about my voice. This video was made early in the morning as I wake up. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you for being part of the free training. Please, the same way you are very comfortable attending free training, you should be comfortable paying for the full package training. Don't be afraid. It's going to run away with my money. It's going to carry my money and run away. No, I don't run away with your money. This is what I've been doing for over the years, and I will continue doing it. So the advert on the group, please take advantage of it. Learn this, and you are going to thank me later. I believe this was helpful, and I believe we've learned something new today. Thank you very much once again. I am Tuto Frank.